Jake Miller wiped the sweat from his face as he looked at the broken pieces of their ship. The new frontier lay twisted and smoking in the purple grass of an alien world. Metal parts were scattered everywhere like toys thrown by an angry child. "How bad is it?" Amy Carson asked as she walked up to him. Her white lab coat was torn and dirty. She carried a small device that beeped softly in her hands. "Bad," Jake said. He kicked a piece of the ship's wing. "We're not flying home anytime soon." Pete Johnson limped over to them. Blood ran down his left arm from a cut. "The radio is completely dead," he said. "I can't reach anyone. Not Earth, not the space station, not even our backup satellite." Lisa Brown was still inside the wrecked ship, trying to save what she could from the medical supplies. She came out carrying a small bag. "I got some bandages and medicine," she said. "But not much." Jake looked up at the sky. 2 suns were setting, painting everything in strange orange and purple colors. This planet had longer days than Earth, but the nights were much colder. He had read about it in the mission files, but seeing it was different. "We need to set up camp," he said. "It's going to get very cold tonight." Amy held up her device. "The temperature is already dropping. In a few hours it will be below freezing." "Great," Pete said. He sat down on a broken piece of metal. "Just great." Jake started pulling supplies from the ship. They had emergency gear, but not much. 4 sleeping bags, a small heater that might work for a few hours, and some food packets. It would have to be enough. "Help me clear a space," Jake said, to the others. "We need to stay close together to keep warm." They worked quickly as the sky grew darker. The purple grass was soft under their feet, but it made strange sounds when they stepped on it. Like whispers. Lisa treated Pete's cut while Amy set up her equipment to study the area around them. Jake found the least damaged part of the ship and made a shelter against it using metal sheets. "Look at this," Amy said suddenly. She pointed to her device. "I'm getting strange readings from the forest." Jake looked where she pointed. About 100 yards away, tall trees grew in thick clusters. They were different from Earth trees. Their bark was smooth and silver, and their leaves glowed softly in the dark. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. "Something is moving in there," Amy said. "Something big, and it's giving off some kind of energy." Pete checked his broken radio again. "Still nothing," he said. "We're completely cut off." The temperature was dropping fast now. Jake could see his breath in the air. He started the small heater, but he knew it wouldn't last long. "Everyone stay close," he said. "We need to share body heat." Lisa handed out food packets. They were cold and tasted like cardboard, but they were better than nothing. They ate in silence, watching the glowing trees in the distance. Then they saw it. A light was moving between the trees. Not the soft glow of the leaves, but something brighter. Something that moved with purpose. "What is that?" Pete whispered. Amy looked at her device. "It's alive," she said. "And it's coming this way." Jake stood up slowly. His hand moved to the tool belt around his waist. He didn't have a weapon, just some repair tools. But it made him feel better. The light came closer. They could see it was not just light, but patterns of light moving along something tall and thin, like someone had painted glowing lines on a person. "Should we run?" Lisa asked. "Where?" Jake said. "We don't know this place. We could get lost in the dark." The figure stepped out of the trees. It looked like a person, but not quite human. It was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to shine in the darkness. Glowing purple lines ran up and down its arms and face like tattoos made of light. Its eyes were large and violet, and its hair was white as snow. It was clearly female, and she was hurt. She stumbled as she walked toward them. Dark liquid that might have been blood ran down one leg. She held one arm against her chest like it was broken. "It's a girl," Lisa said softly. The alien girl stopped about 10 feet away from them. She looked at each of them with those large violet eyes. She seemed scared, but also curious. Jake took a step toward her. "Jake, be careful," Amy warned, but Jake could see that the alien girl was in pain. She was shivering in the cold, and her strange blood was still flowing from her wounds. "She's hurt," he said. The girl made a soft sound. It was almost like music. She pointed to herself and made the sound again. I think she's telling us her name, Lisa said. It sounds like Zara? The alien girl, Zara, nodded when she heard the name. Then she pointed to each of them with a questioning look. Jake said, pointing to himself. Then he pointed to the others. Amy, Pete, Lisa. Zara tried to repeat the names. Her voice was soft and musical, even when she was hurt. Lisa slowly approached with her medical bag. Let me look at your wounds, she said gently. Zara seemed to understand that Lisa wanted to help. She let the human woman examine her injuries. She's lost a lot of blood, Lisa said, and I think her arm might be broken, but her body is different from ours. I'm not sure how to treat her. The temperature was still dropping. Jake could see that Zara was shivering more now. Her glowing lines were getting dimmer. She's going to freeze, he said. Amy was still watching her instruments. Her body temperature is dropping fast, faster than ours. Jake looked at their small camp. 4 sleeping bags, barely enough to keep them warm. And now they had someone else who needed help. We don't have enough gear for 5 people, Pete said. Quietly. Jake looked at Zara. She was trying to be brave, but he could see she was scared and cold and hurt. She was alone on a strange world just like they were. He made his decision. Jake walked to his sleeping bag and picked it up. It was the warmest one they had, designed for the coldest temperatures. He walked over to Zara and held it out to her. Here, he said. Take this. Zara looked at the sleeping bag, then at Jake. She seemed confused. Jake opened the bag and showed her how it worked. It will keep you warm, he said. He mimed being cold, then being warm inside the bag. But Zara shook her head. She pointed to Jake, then to the bag, then back to Jake. She seemed to be saying that he needed it too. She's right, Amy said. Without that bag, you might not survive the night either. Jake thought for a moment. Then he did something that surprised, even himself. He opened the sleeping bag wide and gestured to both himself and Zara. We can share it, he said simply. There's room for 2 if we stay close. Pete and Amy stared at him. Lisa looked worried. Jake, Amy said slowly. We don't know anything about her. What if she's dangerous? What if she carries diseases we can't fight? What if she doesn't? Jake replied. Look at her, she's hurt and cold and scared, just like us. Zara seemed to understand what Jake was offering. Her violet eyes grew wide with surprise. She looked at him for a long moment as if she was trying to see inside his heart. Then she did something none of them expected. She reached into a hidden pocket in her strange clothes and pulled out something small. It looked like a crystal, but it glowed with the same light as the lines on her skin. She held it out to Jake with both hands like it was very precious. Jake looked at the crystal. It was beautiful, like a star captured in glass. He could feel warmth coming from it even though it was small. What is it? He asked. Zara spoke in her musical language. She seemed to be explaining something very important, but they couldn't understand her words. What they could understand was the look in her eyes. It was not the look of someone who was trying to trick them. It was the look of someone who was about to give away something very valuable. Jake held out his hand. Zara placed the crystal in his palm. The moment it touched his skin, everything changed. The crystal dissolved into Jake's hand like sugar in water. But instead of disappearing, it spread through his body like warm honey. Jake felt the warmth start in his palm and move up his arm. Then it spread to his chest, his back, his legs, everywhere. Jake, Amy shouted. She grabbed her scanner and pointed it at him. Your body temperature is rising fast. But Jake felt wonderful, better than he had ever felt in his life. The cold air that had been making him shiver now felt comfortable. His muscles felt stronger, his mind felt clearer. Even his vision seemed sharper in the dark. What did you do to me? He asked Zara. But somehow he already knew the answer. Not in words, but in feelings and pictures that appeared in his mind. Zara had given him something called a life bond. It was the most precious gift her people could give to another being. Zara stepped closer to Jake. When she was near him, he could feel her emotions like they were his own. She was surprised and worried and happy. Yes, she was happy that the gift had worked. "Jake, talk to me," Lisa said. She was checking his pulse. "How do you feel?" "Amazing," Jake said. "I feel like I could run a marathon, and I'm not cold at all anymore." Amy's scanner was making excited beeping sounds. "This is impossible," she said. "Your heart rate is perfect. Your blood pressure is perfect. Everything is perfect. It's like your body is working better than it ever has." Pete was staring at Jake with wide eyes. "You're glowing," he said. Jake looked down at himself. Pete was right. A soft light was coming from his skin, just like the light that came from Zara. The same purple lines were appearing on his arms and face. "What's happening to me?" Jake asked. This time Zara answered him. But she didn't speak with words. She spoke directly into his mind. "Do not be afraid," her voice said in his thoughts. "The life bond will not hurt you. It will make you stronger." Jake nearly fell over. "I can hear you," he said out loud. "In my head, and I can hear you," Zara replied in his mind. "We are connected now, forever." Amy grabbed Jake's arm. "Jake, you need to tell us what's happening." Jake looked at his friends. They looked scared and confused. He tried to explain what he was feeling, but the words seemed too small. "She gave me something called a life bond," he said. It's like we're connected now. I can feel what she feels. I can hear her thoughts." "Tell them," Zara said, in his mind, "that your people have passed the first test." "What test?" Jake asked out loud. More pictures flowed into his mind from Zara. He saw other planets, other species, other beings like Zara visiting them. Most of the time, when the visitors appeared hurt and alone, the native species would attack them or ignore them or try to capture them. "You were testing us," Jake said, understanding. "You made yourself look hurt to see what we would do." Zara nodded. She spoke in his mind again. "My people have visited many worlds. Most beings fail the test. They are cruel or greedy or afraid. But you offered to share your warmth with a stranger. You offered to help someone you knew nothing about. So this life bond thing," Jake said. "It is a reward," Zara explained, "and a responsibility. You are now the bridge between your people and mine." Lisa was still examining Jake. "Your body is changing," she said. "I can see it in your blood. Your cells are different now." "Different how?" Jake asked. "Stronger. They're repairing themselves faster, and they're producing energy in a way I've never seen before." Amy was scanning Zara now. "She's not hurt," she said suddenly. "There's no real injury. The blood, the broken arm, it was all fake." Pete stepped back from Zara. "So she was lying to us?" "Not lying," Zara said in Jake's mind. "Testing. We had to know what kind of beings you are," Jake translated for the others. "She says they had to test us, to see if we were good or bad." "And?" Amy asked. Jake smiled. "We passed." Suddenly Pete's broken radio crackled to life. Static filled the air, then voices. Distant voices speaking in languages they didn't recognize. Then, clear as day, a voice speaking English. "New Frontier, this is Earth Control, do you read?" "Over." Pete grabbed the radio with shaking hands. "Earth Control, this is New Frontier. We read you loud and clear." "Thank God," came the voice from Earth. "We lost your signal during the storm. What's your status?" Pete looked at the others. How could he explain what had happened? "The life bond enhances technology," Zara explained to Jake. "Metal and circuits become more efficient around us." Jake translated this to Pete, who keyed the radio again. "Earth Control, we crashed but we're alive. All 4 crew members are safe, but we have a situation here." "What kind of situation?" Jake took the radio from Pete. "Control, this is Jake Miller. We've made contact with an alien species. They're friendly. Very friendly." There was a long pause, then, "Say again, New Frontier?" "We met aliens, Control, and they want to help us." Another pause. Stand by, New Frontier. While they waited, Jake felt more changes in his body. He was getting stronger by the minute. His senses were sharper. He could hear small animals moving in the grass far away. He could see details in the dark that should have been invisible. Jake, Amy said, look at this. She showed him her scanner. The energy field around you is growing. It's affecting our equipment. It was true. All their devices were working better now. Pete's radio was clearer than it had ever been. Lisa's medical scanner was showing readings it had never been able to detect before. Even the small heater was producing more warmth while using less power. This is just the beginning, Zara said in his mind. The life bond will continue to change you. You will become more like us, and we will become more like you. What do you mean? Jake asked. Zara stepped closer to him. When she touched his hand, Jake could see images in his mind. Pictures of a vast civilization among the stars, cities that floated in space, ships that could travel between stars in days instead of years, beings from dozens of different worlds living together in peace. This is the collective, she explained. My people are part of it. If your species proves worthy, you could join us. How do we prove worthy? Jake asked. You already started, Zara said, by showing kindness to a stranger, by offering warmth when you had little to spare. But there will be more tests. The radio crackled again. New Frontier, this is Control. We're sending a rescue ship, but it won't reach you for 6 months. Can you survive that long? Jake looked at Zara. She nodded. Control, I think we'll be fine, Jake said. Better than fine, actually. Tell them, Zara said, that representatives of the collective will visit your world soon. Your people must be ready. Jake's heart began to race. Not from fear, but from excitement. Control, you need to contact the United Nations, the President, everyone. Tell them we're not alone in the universe anymore. Jake, you're not making sense. I'm making perfect sense, Jake said. We just became part of something much bigger than Earth, much bigger than humanity. Amy was staring at her scanner again. Jake, your DNA is changing. I can watch it happen in real time. Is that bad? Lisa answered. I don't think so. If anything, you're becoming healthier, stronger. Your lifespan might be extending too. The life bond will give you many years, Zara confirmed. Enough time to serve as ambassador between our peoples. Ambassador? Jake said out loud. The others heard him and turned to stare. Ambassador to who? Pete asked. Jake looked at Zara, then at his friends. How could he explain that his simple offer to share a sleeping bag had just changed the course of human history? Show them, Zara said. Show them what? What you can do now. Jake wasn't sure what she meant, but he felt something growing inside him. Power, knowledge, understanding. He walked over to a piece of the broken ship. It was a heavy chunk of metal that would normally take 2 people to lift. Jake picked it up with one hand. Amy, Pete, and Lisa stared in shock. That's impossible, Pete whispered. Jake set the metal down gently. A lot of things are going to seem impossible from now on. The radio crackled one more time. New Frontier, we're getting some very strange readings from your location. Are you sure you're all right? Jake smiled. He looked at Zara, who was now glowing brighter. He looked at his friends, who were still trying to understand what was happening. He looked up at the alien sky with its 2 moons and countless stars. Control, he said into the radio. We're about to be better than all right. We're about to change everything. 3 days passed and Jake learned more about the universe than he had ever imagined possible. Through the life bond, Zara shared her memories with him. He saw worlds covered in crystal cities. He saw beings made of living light. He saw ships, the size of moons traveling between stars. But most importantly, he learned the truth about the test. My people have been watching your species for 50 of your years, Zara explained as they sat together by the rebuilt campfire. The life bond had made even their damaged equipment work better. We have visited 847 different worlds. We have tested 847 different species. How many passed? Jake asked out loud. Amy, Pete, and Lisa were listening. Over the past 3 days, they had gotten used to hearing half of a conversation. Before you? Only 12. Amy looked up from her research notes. Only 12 out of 847? What happens to the ones that fail? Jake repeated the question to Zara in his mind. They are left alone, she answered, to develop as they will. Some destroy themselves within a few hundred years. Others survive but never leave their home worlds. A few become threats to other species. What made us different? Lisa asked. Jake felt a warm feeling from Zara before she answered. Most beings, when they see a stranger in need, think first of themselves. They wonder, is this being dangerous? Will helping it hurt me? What can I gain from this situation? Jake nodded as he understood. But I didn't think any of those things. You saw someone cold and hurt and you immediately wanted to help, even though it would cost you comfort, even though you knew nothing about me. This is rare. Pete was working on his radio equipment. The LifeBond's energy field had not only fixed it, but made it much more powerful. Jake, Earth Control wants to talk to you again. Jake picked up the radio. Over the past few days, he had been trying to explain the situation to the people back home. It wasn't going well. Jake, this is General Morrison, came a stern voice through the radio. I need you to be very careful about what you're telling this alien. We don't know what their real intentions are. General, their intentions are to help us, Jake replied. They want to invite us to join a galactic community. That's what they say, but think about it, son. If they're so advanced, why do they need us? Jake looked at Zara. She was listening to the conversation, learning English faster every day through their bond. Tell him, she said in his mind, that the collective is not built on need. It is built on worth. General, it's not about what they need from us, it's about what we can offer to the galaxy. Our humanity. Your what? Jake struggled to find the right words. Our ability to care about others. Our willingness to help strangers. They've been looking for species with this quality for thousands of years. And you think we qualify based on one act of kindness? The test is not finished, Zara reminded him. The test isn't over, Jake told the general. Zara says representatives from the collective are coming to Earth. They'll test our whole species, not just me. When? Jake asked Zara, who showed him an image of Earth's calendar in his mind. 6 months, he said. They'll arrive in 6 months. 6 months, the general repeated. And if we fail this test? Tell him the truth, Zara said. Jake took a deep breath. If we fail, they leave us alone. Forever. No more contact. No help with our problems. No invitation to the stars. There was a long pause then. And if we pass? Show him, Zara said. Suddenly, Jake's mind was filled with visions from Zara. He saw technology that could clean Earth's polluted air in weeks, medicine that could cure diseases they thought were impossible to treat, energy sources that could power their world without harming it, transportation that could take humans to any planet in the galaxy. But more than that, he saw peace. He saw different species working together, sharing knowledge, exploring the universe as friends instead of enemies. If we pass, Jake said quietly, everything changes. Poverty, disease, war, all of it could end. We could become part of something beautiful. Amy was watching her instruments again. Jake, the changes in your body are speeding up. You're becoming more like her. It was true. Jake could feel it happening. His skin now had faint purple lines like Zara's. His eyes were changing color, becoming more violet. His hair was turning white at the edges. Are you afraid? Zara asked in his mind. Jake thought about it. A few days ago he would have been terrified. Now he felt peaceful. No, he said out loud. I'm not afraid. Good, because there is something else you must know. More images flowed into Jake's mind, but these were different, darker. The life bond is permanent, Zara explained. It cannot be undone. We are connected for life. In my culture, this means we are paired. like your married couples. Jake felt his cheeks grow warm. Married? Not exactly the same, but similar. Our life forces are now linked. We will live as long as the other lives. We will feel each other's emotions always. And if one of us dies, the other dies too, Jake finished. Amy overheard. Jake, what's wrong? You look worried. Jake explained what Zara had told him. His friends exchanged glances. So you're stuck with her forever? Pete asked. I did not mean for this to happen, Zara said in his mind, and Jake could feel her distress. The life bond was meant to be a simple gift, a reward for your kindness. But once given, it chooses its own path. What do you mean it chooses its own path? The bond responds to the hearts of those it connects. If there was only respect between us, it would remain weak. But, Jake felt a flutter in his chest. But what? But if there are deeper feelings, it grows stronger. And I have never felt what I feel when I'm with you. Jake stared at her. Zara, who had seemed so alien when they first met, now looked almost human to him. Her blue skin was beautiful. Her violet eyes were kind. Her musical voice made him feel calm and happy. What do you feel? He asked softly. I feel complete. Like I have found the part of myself I never knew was missing. Lisa was scanning both of them now. Your brainwaves are syncing up, she said in wonder. You're actually thinking in harmony. Jake realized it was true. When Zara was happy, he felt happy. When she was worried, he felt worried. But it didn't feel like losing himself. It felt like becoming more than himself. The radio crackled again. Jake, this is Dr. Hayes from the Space Biology Department. We need to know, is this alien changing you against your will? Jake looked at Zara. She looked back at him. In her eyes, he saw the same question she was thinking. Do you want this? Do you want to be bonded to me forever? A few days ago, Jake had been a simple explorer. His biggest worry was mapping new planets and collecting rock samples. Now he was becoming something new. Something that was part human and part alien. He was going to live for hundreds of years. He was going to be an ambassador between species. His DNA was changing. His whole life was changing. And he was falling in love with an alien girl. Dr. Hayes, Jake said into the radio. She's not changing me against my will. The bond only grows stronger if both people want it to. And do you want it to? Jake looked at Zara again. Her alien features were becoming more beautiful to him every day. Her thoughts were becoming clearer in his mind. Her emotions were becoming part of his own heart. I want it, he said to her in his mind. Even though it means giving up your old life, even though it means being different from other humans forever. Even though, he replied. Zara smiled, and Jake felt warmth spread through the life bond. Yes, he said into the radio. I want this. Amy put her hand on his shoulder. Jake, are you sure? This is the biggest decision anyone has ever had to make. I'm sure, Jake said. And there's something else. Something I need you all to help me with. What? Pete asked. The collective is coming to test all of humanity. If we fail, we lose this chance forever. I need to help our species pass that test. How will you do that? Zara asked. Jake stood up and looked at the stars. Somewhere up there, ships were traveling toward Earth. Ships carrying beings who would decide humanity's future. I don't know yet, he said. But I know we can do it. Humans are good people. We just need to show them that. Lisa was still looking at her scanner. Jake, there's something else. The changes in you are affecting us too. All of us. We're getting stronger, smarter, healthier. It was true. Pete's injured arm had healed completely. Amy's chronic back pain was gone. Lisa looked 10 years younger than she had a week ago. The life bond spreads, Zara explained. To those who are close to the bonded one, your friends will gain some of the benefits but not the full connection. So we're all changing, Amy said. Yes, Jake replied. We're all becoming something new. The radio came to life again. This time it was a different voice. New Frontier crew, this is President Martinez. I need to speak with all of you. Jake picked up the radio with shaking hands. The President of the United States wanted to talk. To them, Mr. President, this is Jake Miller. Son, I need you to tell me the truth. Is humanity in danger? Jake looked at Zara, then at his friends, then up at the stars. No, sir, he said. Humanity isn't in danger. Humanity is about to have the greatest opportunity in our history, but only if we prove we deserve it. 2 months had passed since the life bond changed everything. Jake barely looked human anymore. His skin was now pale blue like Zara's. Purple lines of light ran along his arms and face. His eyes had turned completely violet. His white hair glowed, softly in the dark, but he felt more human than ever. You are becoming something new, Zara explained as they walked through the alien forest. Not human, not Kyrian, but something that is both. Jake could now understand her spoken language without the mental connection. The life bond had changed his brain, making him able to learn faster than any human before him. How much longer do we have? He asked. 4 of your months until the collective arrives at Earth. Jake nodded. Through the life bond, he had been learning everything he could about galactic politics. The collective wasn't just a group of friendly aliens. It was a community of over 1,000 different species, all working together to explore the universe and help each other grow. But getting accepted wasn't easy. Many species have failed the final test, Zara had told him. They show kindness to individuals but cruelty to groups. They help their friends but hurt their enemies. They are peaceful at home but violent to strangers. Amy approached them carrying her equipment. She looked healthier than she had in years, thanks to the energy field that Jake now produced constantly. All of their equipment worked perfectly around him now. Jake, I've been studying the data you gave us about the collective, she said. The species that passed the test. What made them special? Jake asked Zara, who shared images in his mind. They all had one thing in common, she replied. They put the good of others before their own desires. Not just for their own people, but for all living beings. She says they were all willing to sacrifice for others, Jake told Amy. Not just for their own families or countries, but for everyone. Pete joined them. His radio equipment had grown incredibly advanced with Jake's help. He was now in contact with space stations around Earth, helping to prepare for the collective's arrival. The governments are getting nervous, Pete said. Some want to prepare weapons. Others want to hide our worst qualities from the aliens. Jake shook his head. That won't work. The collective will see through any lies. Lisa walked up carrying her medical bag. She had been studying Jake's changed biology for weeks. Your transformation is almost complete, she said. But Jake, there's something else. What? Your lifespan. I can't be certain, but based on the cellular changes, you might live for over 500 years now. Jake looked at Zara. She nodded. The life bond gives long life to both partners, she confirmed. We will have many centuries together. The thought should have been frightening, but it wasn't. Jake had already accepted that his old life was over. Now he had a new purpose, helping humanity pass the test. There's something I haven't told you all, Jake said to his friends. The test isn't just about being kind to individual aliens. It's about how our whole species behaves. What do you mean? Amy asked. Jake sat down on a fallen tree. The others gathered around him. Even after 2 months, they still needed to have these conversations regularly to understand what was happening. The collective will send observers to every part of Earth, Jake explained. They'll watch how we treat each other, how we handle conflict, how we take care of our planet, how we react when we're afraid or angry. They will also test your leaders, Zara added in his mind. And they'll test our leaders, Jake continued. Presidents, generals, religious figures. They'll put them in difficult situations to see how they respond. Pete looked worried. What if some people fail? What if our leaders make bad choices? The species is judged as a whole, Zara explained. If most humans show goodness, a few failures will not matter. But if most show cruelty or selfishness, then we fail, Jake finished. They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the alien birds singing in the trees above them. "There's more," Jake said finally. "I've been in contact with Earth through Pete's radio. The news isn't good." "What kind of news?" Lisa asked. "Some countries are already talking about using the collective's arrival as an excuse to attack their enemies. They think if they can show strength, the aliens will respect them more." Amy shook her head. "That's exactly the wrong approach." "Yes," Zara agreed. "The collective fears violent species above all others. A species that fights among themselves will fight with others." Jake had been wrestling with this problem for weeks. How could he help 7 billion humans pass a test when many of them didn't even know they were being tested? "I have an idea," he said suddenly. "But you're not going to like it." "What is it?" Pete asked. "I need to go to Earth before the collective arrives. I need to speak to world leaders face to face." Lisa stared at him. "Jake, you look like an alien now. If you show up on Earth, people will panic." "Maybe," Jake said. "But I'm still human inside, and I have knowledge that could save our species." "It is dangerous," Zara warned him. "Your people might attack you out of fear." "Some might," Jake agreed. "But others will listen. And if I can reach the right people, if I can make them understand what's at stake." Amy was looking at her instruments. "There's another problem. The energy field around you is getting stronger. Any ship that tries to carry you might have problems with its electronics." Jake looked at Zara. "Can your people help? Can they send a ship to pick us up?" "That would interfere with the test," Zara replied. "You must find your own way." Pete suddenly looked excited. "Wait, what if we don't need a working ship?" "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Your energy field makes electronics work better, right? What if we take the broken pieces of the new frontier and use your power to fix them?" Amy looked interested. "It might work. The ship's computer core is still intact. With Jake's enhancement, we might be able to rebuild the whole system." Jake felt hope rising in his chest. "How long would it take?" "A few weeks," Pete said. "Maybe a month if we work around the clock." "There is something else to consider," Zara said in Jake's mind. "If you return to Earth, I must come with you. We cannot be separated now without great pain." Jake had expected this. "Will your people be angry if you interfere?" "They will not be happy," she admitted. "But the life bond makes it necessary. Where you go, I go." Lisa was making calculations on her tablet. "If we can get back to Earth 2 months before the collective arrives, that gives Jake time to meet with world leaders, to explain the situation, to help humanity prepare." "It's risky," Amy said. "If the wrong people get control of Jake, or if they decide he's a threat, then humanity fails the test anyway," Jake said. "At least this way we have a chance." Over the next hour, they made their plans. Pete and Amy would work on rebuilding the ship's systems. Lisa would monitor Jake's health during the process. And Jake would continue learning everything he could from Zara about the test to come. That evening, as they sat around their enhanced campfire, Pete's radio crackled with a transmission from Earth. "New Frontier, this is General Morrison. We have some disturbing news." Jake picked up the radio. "We're here, General." "Son, we've been monitoring radio signals from deep space. We think the aliens you told us about aren't alone. Our deep space telescopes are detecting what looks like a fleet of ships heading toward Earth." Jake felt Zara's worry through the life bond. "How many ships?" he asked her in his mind. 47, she replied. "One from each member species of the Collective Council." "General, there will be 47 ships," Jake said into the radio. "One for each species in the collective." 47 alien ships coming to Earth," the general repeated. "And you're telling me they're peaceful?" "They're coming to evaluate us, sir. Not to attack us." "How can you be sure?" Jake looked at Zara, who was glowing brighter as her emotions grew stronger. "Tell him," she said, "that if the collective wanted to destroy Earth, they would not send 47 ships. They would send one, and your planet would be gone in minutes." Jake repeated this to the general, who was quiet for a long moment. "Jake," the general finally said. "I think you'd better get home as fast as possible. The president wants to meet with you personally. And son, some people are getting scared. Really scared." "What kind of scared, General?" "The kind that makes them do stupid things. We need you here to help keep everyone calm." Jake looked at his friends, then at Zara. They all understood what the general was really saying. Fear was spreading on Earth, and frightened humans were dangerous humans. "We'll be there as soon as we can, General," Jake said. "And General, tell the president that humanity can pass this test. We just need to remember what makes us human." "And what's that, son?" Jake thought of that first night when he had offered to share his sleeping bag with a cold, frightened stranger. "Our ability to care about others," he said. "Even when it costs us something, even when we're afraid." After Jake turned off the radio, they all looked up at the alien stars. Somewhere out there, 47 ships were traveling toward Earth. In 4 months they would arrive and decide humanity's future. Jake reached for Zara's hand. She took it, and he felt her love and worry flow through the life bond. "Are you ready for this?" she asked. Jake squeezed her hand and smiled. "No," he said. "But we're going to do it anyway." 3 months later, Jake stood in the United Nations building in New York, facing representatives from every nation on Earth. He no longer looked human at all. His blue skin glowed with purple lines of light. His violet eyes seemed to see into people's souls. His white hair moved softly as if touched by an invisible breeze. Beside him stood Zara, her hand in his. The life bond between them was now so strong that they shared thoughts without trying. They had become something new together. Not human, not alien, but something that belonged to both species. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake said, his voice carrying clearly through the Great Hall. "In exactly 4 weeks, the collective will arrive at Earth. Today, I want to tell you exactly what will happen." President Martinez leaned forward at the main table. "Jake, are we in danger?" "That depends entirely on us," Jake replied. "The collective doesn't conquer worlds. They don't steal resources or enslave people. They judge." Jake walked to the center of the room. Every eye was on him. Some people looked frightened by his appearance, others seemed fascinated, a few looked angry. "For the past 3 months, I've learned everything I can about how the collective tests species," Jake continued. "They will send observers to every continent, every major city, every conflict zone on Earth. They will watch how we treat each other." General Morrison, who had flown in from Washington, raised his hand. "What exactly are they looking for?" Jake felt Zara's memories flow through their bond, and he shared them with the room. "They're looking for species that put compassion before selfishness. They want to see if we help strangers, if we protect the weak, if we can work together even when we disagree." The Russian ambassador spoke up. "And what if we fail this test?" "Then they leave," Jake said simply. "Forever, no more contact. No help with climate change, disease, poverty, or war. Humanity remains alone in the universe." "And if we pass?" asked the representative from Japan. Jake smiled, and his whole face lit up with hope. "If we pass, everything changes. Clean energy that will never run out. Medicine that can cure any disease. Technology that will let us explore the galaxy. And most importantly, we become part of a community of over 1,000 peaceful species." The Brazilian representative stood up. "How do we know you're telling the truth? How do we know you haven't been programmed by them?" Zara stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was like music, but everyone could understand her words. Jake's presence had somehow made translation unnecessary. "I could have programmed him to say anything," she said gently. "I could have made him tell you that resistance is useless, or that you must surrender to us. Instead, he tells you that your future depends on your own choices." Does this sound like the words of a conquered mind? Several people in the room nodded. She made a good point. Jake continued. "The test has 3 parts. First, they'll observe how we treat individuals in need. Second, they'll watch how different groups of humans interact with each other. Third, They'll present our leaders with difficult choices to see what you prioritize. President Martinez frowned. What kind of difficult choices? I don't know exactly, Jake admitted. But based on tests given to other species, you might be offered advanced weapons in exchange for attacking your enemies. You might be told that helping poor countries will slow down rich countries' development. You might be asked to choose between saving human lives and protecting the environment. And there are right and wrong answers to these tests, asked the German chancellor. Jake felt Zara's sadness through their bond as she remembered other worlds that had failed. Yes, he said quietly. The wrong answers are always the selfish ones, the answers that help some humans at the cost of other humans, the answers that prioritize power over compassion. Amy, Pete, and Lisa were sitting in the observers section. Over the past months, they had become Jake's advisors, helping him understand both human and collective perspectives. Amy raised her hand. Jake, what about our violent history? What about wars and conflicts that are happening right now? The collective understands that species go through violent periods as they develop, Jake replied. What matters is whether we're growing beyond that violence or embracing it. Suddenly, an alarm sounded in the building. Security guards rushed in and whispered urgently to President Martinez. The president stood up, his face pale. Ladies and gentlemen, our deep space monitors have detected the collective fleet. They're still 4 weeks away, but there are more ships than we expected. Jake felt Zara's surprise through their bond. How many? He asked her silently. She closed her eyes for a moment, reaching out with senses Jake was only beginning to understand. 68 ships, she replied in his mind. This is unusual. 68 ships, Jake announced to the room. Panic began to spread. Some representatives started shouting. Others were making urgent phone calls. President Martinez called for order. Jake, why are there more ships than you predicted? Jake consulted with Zara through their mental link. Her reply made his heart race. The additional ships carry observers from species that failed their own tests, she explained. They want to see if humanity succeeds where they failed. Some of the ships carry representatives from species that didn't make it into the collective, Jake told the room. They're coming to watch our test. Is that good or bad? Asked the British Prime Minister. Jake wasn't sure. Through Zara, he could sense that this was unprecedented. No species had ever drawn this much attention from the collective. It means, Zara said in his mind, that your species has already surprised them. The simple act of kindness that created our life bond has spread ripples throughout the galaxy. It means we're already changing things, Jake said aloud. My decision to help a stranger has gotten the attention of the entire galaxy. General Morrison leaned forward. Son, that's a lot of pressure. Yes, it is, Jake agreed, but I have faith in humanity. We're not perfect, but we have something special. We have the ability to care about people we've never met. Over the next 3 weeks, Jake traveled around the world. He spoke to world leaders, religious figures, and ordinary citizens. Everywhere he went, he shared the same message. Humanity's future depended on choosing compassion over fear. Some people listened, others didn't. In some places, Jake's presence led to increased cooperation between rival groups. In others, fear of the coming aliens led to increased conflict. But slowly, something began to change. News networks started reporting more stories about people helping each other. Charitable donations increased worldwide. Several countries that had been preparing for war decided to pursue peace talks instead. Zara watched it all with growing hope. Your species is remarkable, she told Jake as they stood together on the roof of the UN building on the night before the collective's arrival. Most worlds either unite in fear or fragment in panic. You are doing both and neither. What do you mean? Some of your people are showing their worst qualities. Fear, hatred, violence. But others are showing their best. Courage, love, sacrifice. It is as if your entire species is taking the test at the same time. Jake looked up at the stars. Tomorrow, those stars would be filled with alien ships. Tomorrow, humanity would learn its fate. Are you afraid? Zara asked. Terrified, Jake admitted, but also hopeful. The next morning, the ships arrived. Jake stood with world leaders on the lawn of the United Nations as 68 vessels of incredible beauty descended from the sky. Some looked like living crystals. Others seemed to be made of pure light. A few resembled flowers or trees or geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. The largest ship landed first. Jake felt Zara's excitement as beings began to emerge from it. "The High Council," she explained. "They will conduct the final test." What came out of the ship surprised everyone. Instead of advanced aliens with incredible technology, out walked beings that looked remarkably ordinary. Some seemed almost human. Others were clearly alien but moved and acted in familiar ways. The leader of the group was tall and thin, with golden skin and silver eyes. When he spoke, everyone could understand him, just as they had understood Zara. "People of Earth," he said, his voice kind but serious, "we are the collective. We have come to complete your evaluation." President Martinez stepped forward. "We welcome you to our world." The golden being nodded. "Your species has already surprised us. In all our centuries of testing, we have never seen a life bond formed between species before first contact was officially established." He gestured to Jake and Zara. "This human's simple act of kindness to a stranger has created ripples throughout the galaxy. Because of him, we have decided to modify our usual test." Jake felt his heart stop. "Modify it how?" The golden being smiled. "Usually, we observe a species for 1 year before making our decision, but your act of selflessness was so pure, so unexpected, that we have decided to offer you immediate provisional membership in the collective." Gasps echoed across the gathering. "However," the being continued, "this membership comes with conditions. You must prove over the next 10 years that Jake Miller's compassion represents humanity's true nature, not an exception to it." Jake felt overwhelming relief and gratitude flow through his life bond with Zara. President Martinez stepped forward again. "What exactly does this mean for humanity?" "It means," the golden being replied, "that we will share some of our knowledge with you immediately. Clean energy, basic medical advance.